1985, celebrating 40. So if you're 40 years old today, congratulations. Or if you're going to be turning 40 this month, this week, or this year, congratulations to you. It's a fantastic year for music. Also, 1982 is a fantastic year as well. Same with 1979. Ooh, I'm a big fan of 1998 as well. But anyway, let us come to our final conversation, and it's one that I hope should generate inspiration. That's the aim of this conversation. Now, there's a name. I would not be surprised if many of you haven't heard of this person before. It doesn't really fall into our purview. But today, I would like to introduce to you the former Uruguayan, but Uruguay. The country is Uruguay. All right. So the former Uruguayan leader, Jose Mujica. Please remember this name, Jose Mujica. Let me spell it for you so you can go read him up. All right, read up on him rather. Jose, that's Jose, as in Jose Mourinho. For those of you who are football fans, space Mujica, spelled Mujica. Jose Mujica, Mujica. Ladies and gentlemen, this man died a month and a half ago. Yes, he died. He died in May of 2025. I think he died on the 13th or the 12th of May 2025. This year, all right? And he was an ex-guerrilla. That's kind of like what you have the militant, right? And he eventually got into power in the year 2010. And between 2010 and 2015, he was the president of Uruguay. And he was dubbed by the press and by all those who knew him in this country and around South America as the poorest president on earth. He was dubbed that because of his very modest lifestyle. This man died of esophageal cancer. He had been suffering from esophageal cancer. His death is not exactly known, but because he was known that he had esophageal cancer and he was, in his late 80s, there wasn't much of a prognosis there. Hey, you may not survive the cancer treatment. Interestingly, he wasn't even receiving a lot of cancer treatment because after his capture and torture, please listen very carefully. He was captured and tortured back in the 70s, whilst freedom fighting, blah, 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 blah. Founded a movement, the National Liberation Movement, right? In the late 60s. He was tortured. He was incarcerated for about 15, 16 years. And during that period, they beat Shege. But when this man came out, ladies and gentlemen, he decided to live a very modest lifestyle. His real concern was his farm, his wife, children, and dogs. But he was very vocal in politics. Very vocal. At one point in time, just before he died, about 2012 or 2013, if I'm not mistaken, at a summit in the region, he was offered $1 million for his personal car. His personal car was an old Volkswagen Beetle. When he became president, he refused to move into the presidential palace because he said for him, it does not fit his style, knowing that there are millions of Uruguayans who didn't live as well as he did. So he stayed in his own house. But because he was the president, they had to move security to his house. And he said, I do not want 20, 50, 100 people securing my house. Mother security, I will still go to farm. And he still came to work in that old Volkswagen Beetle. It was a rich Saudi Arabian sheikh who said, you know what, let me buy your Beetle because it's a classic and I like to acquire things, And it was like, it's a joke. Why would you want to buy my old beat up car? There's a picture in front of me of that particular Volkswagen inside a shed. It wasn't even in a garage like you have in your houses. It was a shed. Wood and zinc. That's what this man used to keep his car. When he declared his asset back in 2013, all he had on earth was valued at less than $2,000. Yet he was the president of this country. Of this Uruguayan country. He famously gave 90% of his salary to charity every month. So when he was president, for those 5 years he was president, he was donating his salary, which was about $12,000. He was donating it. Interestingly, I can draw parallels between Jose Mujica and the great Madiba, Nelson Mandela, who did the same thing after he got out of prison. When he was paid his salary as South African president, he was famous for not cashing in his checks and instead would tell the secretary, give it to so and so people, go and start this, go and buy goats, go and do this, go and give to these children. All of these things were done quietly without media reports. But as a president, he increased government spending. Obviously, he didn't solve all the problems, but by the time his tenure was ending, his approval rating was through the roof, 70%. 70% of the population still wanted this man to be their president, but obviously he couldn't be. And when he was senator, he famously said, I refuse to collect pension. In fact, I will not serve until 2020. I'm tired, but I will not collect pension. Please do not pay me a pension. And his famous words when people always asked him was that people think I'm poor. I am not poor. I'm only content because I'm not bothered about getting material things. My question to you this morning, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very honest question. What sort of political figure does Nigeria and indeed Africa need right now? Don't name names. I don't want you to come and tell me you want Jude to be your president. You want Tinubu to be your president. You want Peter Obi to be your president. Or you want Julius Malambe. No. What type of political figure? I would like to have a figure that reminds me of Nelson Mandela as the president of this country. I would like to have a political figure that stands for something, not like many of your friends and uncles who are jumping from one party, one hotel, left, right. Every 2 or 3 years, they have moved around. Once again, ask yourself this question before you call in. Am I ready to be honest on this program? What sort of political figure does Nigeria or Africa need? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, let's get to the phone lines now. 017-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 0809-030-6416. Very straightforward question. I think a minute and a half is enough to answer. Hello, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt. Oh dear, apologies there. Match 1-3, good morning. Hello, good morning. Oh dear. All right, apologies. All right, WhatsApp. Let's get to WhatsApp now. 0809-030-6416. 0809-030-6416. Please do not call the last number I just reeled out. It is strictly for messaging. So you send me a text or a WhatsApp message right to this last number 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. Please, only messages on this number. 92.3, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, please.
Okay, good morning, today. My name is Igwe Tango. I'm calling you from Port Harcourt, River State.
All right, go on, please.
Okay, your question, what sort of political figure does Nigeria or Africa need?
Yeah, you. What do you think we need? What type?
Well, I can say that for now, Nigeria is actually losing when it comes to leadership.
So what? So which one do you want? We know.
Coalition. And again, you can believe with me that this set of people coming together to form a coalition are still the set of persons that have one way in other contributed to what Nigerians are passing through today.
So what type of figure do you want, or do you think we need? That's a simple question.
No, to that regard, I think Nigeria needs fresh brains. I think Nigeria needs leaders who want to give out, not just to take from Nigeria.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. We'll have a commercial break. A leader who gives and not takes.
For more talk, news and sports, stay tuned to Nigeria Info. We'll be right back after this.
Let your money grow, let it rise. Fast Credit is the name, we play no games.
Muyuka was the former president of Uruguay from 2010 to 2015. He was no angel. He was no saint. He was a freedom fighter. He was a militant. Back in the 70s, when the Uruguayan military staged a coup in 1973, they included him in a group of 9 hostages who they threatened to kill if the guerrillas continued their attacks. Now, during the more than 14 years he spent in prison within the 70s and 80s, he was tortured, spent a lot of his time in harsh conditions and also in isolation. But in 1985, he gained his freedom when Uruguay returned to democracy. He famously said that he experienced madness firsthand during his time in prison because he suffered from delusions and even talked to ants. The day he was freed was the happiest memory, he says. Becoming president was insignificant compared to that. Compared to getting his freedom, being president didn't mean anything. He was truly free. The movement he founded, like I said, he wasn't a saint, he was a fighter. They used to kidnap people. They used to demand ransom from people. They attacked people. But he famously said he never murdered anybody for money. That's what he said. But his opponents in politics later on would say, look, you need to make amends. You need to apologize for those things. Maybe you didn't do it, but maybe somebody did. Now, when he retired from, Senate, his opponents were skeptical. They did not believe that he was going to retire because he was very popular. One of the senators back then, Senator Luis Alberto Heber, referred to rumors that Mr. Mayorkas was stepping down to run for president a second time in 2029. He says, we don't believe that you're going to spend your free time just resting and being on your farm and not working against our party. We hope and we really wish you have a peaceful rest. Well, he surprised them and stayed on his farm with his wife. Remember I said before the break that he was once offered $1 million for his beetle. It was a blue-colored beetle. He didn't take the money. The reason? He said, if he sells the car, he wouldn't have any other car to be carrying his wife and his dog. His dog then had only 3 legs. So he will not sell his car. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the character of the man that I placed before you this morning. I said, ask you this question. Like I said, he's no saint. But what sort of political figure do you think Nigeria needs? Do you think Africa needs at the moment? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH. Our WhatsApp and Telegram number is on 0809 030 6416.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Hello, with June on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, on WhatsApp, Rosemary sends a message. It says, good morning, I'm Rosemary from River State. Nigeria needs a good and God-fearing leader, a leader who understands the feeling of his people and the best way to make his country brighter. Okay, a God-fearing leader. 92.3 Nigeria Info, good morning to you. Welcome to Hello Port Harcourt.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Ejeku Promise from Rumodumayan.
Welcome, Ejeku Promise. Go on, please.
All right. It's kind of a political figure we need is a figure who will teach Nigerians how to be patient,
Okay.
how to endure, not to come and tell Nigerians that I have 7-point agenda, and you cannot even fulfill one. And I think that exemplary, the example of the kind of person I'm talking about is a man like President Tinubu. That's the kind of figure we need. Thank you.
Jacob Promise, you just intelligently, violated the rules I just made. I gave a Jacob Promise, and I'm very disappointed in you. I have to say so. Very, very disappointed in you. Once again, I said, don't mention names. I don't want a political figure right now. I said, what a personality rather. What type of figure? That means, what is the persona of this person? Do you want somebody who is? There's some leaders who are, they're strict. They're either leftist. Some leaders are benevolent. They are calm. They are gentle. Some leaders are no nonsense. Hey, we're doing this today, but doing the end. Jacob Promise, I'm very disappointed in you, and I don't know if your plan was to be comical. I don't know if your plan was to be factual, but I would like to assume you probably didn't listen to the opening salvo and then you made this statement. But for that, I have to express our displeasure, and I'd like to offer an apology to all the listeners. Please. Thank you very much. Moving on. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. All right. Good morning, Jude. Nigeria needs a truthful and trustworthy individual. The one that will think of what he can do for Nigeria positively and not what Nigeria would do for him. Rose Gold from Owerri. Rose Gold, thank you very much. We have an anonymous caller. Oh dear. A call ended. Apologies there. 90.3, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning, please.
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm struggling to hear you. It's a bit faint. Could you speak directly into the microphone, please?
Network. Can you hear me?
Okay, this is much better, please. Good morning.
Okay, this is Douglas, Special Douglas from Jerry.
Good morning, Mr. Douglas. Thank you for joining us, please. Oh, dear, Mr. Douglas, please do call us back. Apologies. We couldn't make much of your next salvo, please. 90.3, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Baba for the Massive.
Go on, please.
I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Go on, please.
For me, the kind of leaders we need as it is today in Nigeria, we don't need weak leaders. We need leaders that will build a strong institution in this country. But then, before you must succeed, you must have the capacity to fight political gladiator to the last. There is no politician in Nigeria, call it a reverend father, call it GO, that will succeed without you don't have capacity to grant these people. You don't even have leaders that we never allow them to gather.
Okay.
If you watch what is happening in this country, as soon as you win election, the next thing people begin to regroup. How do we move you? How do we succeed to put this person out of seat? Because of what? They are not interested of rebuilding Nigeria. They are not interested of building an institution that will lead this country to where we are expecting. You understand? So you must have the capacity to grant them.
Okay. All right. So you want somebody who's going to be able to fight the establishment as it is. Kurt is on the line from Uniport. Kurt, good morning to you, please.
Good morning, Jude.
Good morning, please.
Yeah, the leader we supposed to have is the leader is appointed now. But it's quite unfortunate that we cannot have such a leader.
Why? Why can't we have a leader that you'll be pleased and proud of?
The solution to have such a leader, if that should be accepted by anybody. One option.
Okay, all right. So who will effect capital punishment on all corrupt individuals? Okay, on WhatsApp, I'll get to Facebook shortly. Joe says we need selfless and visionary leaders and benevolent dictators. Interestingly, that's a very weird phrase in one sentence. A visionary leader and a benevolent dictator. Whenever I get to see that line, I always laugh. All right. So once again, if you're wondering why we're asking, a month and a half ago, the former Uruguayan president Jose Mujica died at the age of 89. He was dubbed the world's poorest president. Once again, Google that name, read it up. Jose Mujica, the world's poorest president. Zion is on the line. Oh, there. Drop call. Apologies there to you, Mr. Zion. There have been a lot of great leaders. New Zealand has had a very interesting run with its prime ministers in the past, decade and a half. The same thing can be said of the Czech Republic. The same thing can also be said, of Iceland. Very small country, very small country. Prime minister became a woman recently, and then they stand out. They do honestly stand out. On WhatsApp, this one says, hello, Jude. We need leaders who will remove excess money from our political positions and systems. Politics isn't a business or a transaction. What we practice here in Nigeria is pure political merchandising and transaction. A political office holder is not supposed to have access to money. Once we reduce the access to money in our political system, these current cannibals will leave, and the real people to build strong institutions will emerge with moderate salary. Bernard from Port Harcourt. All right, interestingly, that's a similar message shared by Chris. Chris says, and Jude, the problem in Nigeria is politics is too successful and there's a lot of money in it. Why should any party ticket be costing close to 20, 30, 40, even 50 million naira in today's Nigeria? Why won't politicians come and think this is the place for them to come and make money? We need a man like the man you just said, someone who wouldn't mind leaving his own house and running the state or the government. True, he did not live in the presidential palace. He stayed in his own house. Jose Mujica stayed in his own house. Zion is on the line from GRA. Zion, good morning to you.
Yeah, Mr. Jude. Is it deliberate that you guys keep me on the queue for over 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Well, I don't know if you have been on the queue for 10 minutes. All I see is 37 seconds. So it's not...
the second call back that pains me. I say, let me address it.
Oh, no, it's definitely not deliberate. The other callers, we attend to them and the counter is on. So it's not deliberate. Sometimes you may be calling and it's not here on my screen. So it's not deliberate. So it may ring out.
When we talk about leadership, it's because of the environment we find ourselves. That is why this sort of topic is being brought to be discussed. What kind of leaders do we want? If not for corruption, greed, and wickedness, should leadership be having a kind? Leadership is leadership. Just like a noun is a noun, a verb is a verb. I won't be surprised if I woke up one morning, what is a noun? We started having a different definition of noun here in Nigeria. It's possible. Selflessness, number one, are the qualities and character of a leader.
Selflessness.
Check the Nigeria we have today. Every monumental structure, go and check the leader who visioned it. Go and check their lives. Simple. Most of them don't have properties abroad. Even if they think they don't fly abroad. But check the leaders that have structures that will be dilapidated, being consumed by cockroaches and rodents in less than 2-3 years, even ask for a demolition or renovation, even talk about reform. Go and check their lives.
So
until we deal with this issue of greed among the people, that is only where you cannot have a selfless leader.
So selfless leader is what we need. Selfless. That's your number one.
Sir, recently I met a professor. I guess you have heard a name in our entertainment environment they call Geraldo Pino. Have you heard that name before?
I
That's a
can't.
long time, or not now.
Okay.
I guess some people may be related to this name, Geraldo Pino. The people that taught Geraldo Pino, the man that brought music to our Nigerian university, that is what I'm talking about. He taught people like Geraldo Pino. Guess what? That professor does not even have a car. He's one of the professors that designed this LMA petrochemical filling stations. The
refineries.
Is among those that brought about, among the teams that are among those that gave birth to this modern day computer.
Okay.
He has no car. He's still trekking in Port Harcourt.
Selflessness.
See, except to have the selfless people, I want to grow my nation. All I need is I have my house, I have my car for my children. We are all educated. At the day we have food to eat. Even the Bible said something. When the day of the manna, don't take more than a
You
day.
can eat. Okay. All right, Zion, thank you very much. We need to get read so many messages before we do our draws. Hello, Jude. This is on WhatsApp. Aria Goba says, Nigeria and Africa needs a president who is in business, a selfless leader who is a nation builder, a humble and empathetic human being, an economist that has capacity, and goes on and goes on. At the end, says God-fearing. I don't know why you guys are so big on this God-fearing thing. No? Jude, before you leave the studio, tell PhD to restore power in Miniata Estate from SVR. Let me say this once again. If you don't have power, right? If you don't have power for, I don't know, 2-3 hours or 7 days, there's something wrong. All right, there's something wrong. And if you're on band A, like some of you are, and you haven't getting power, it's because there's a lot of restoration there's a lot of repair on the AFAM lines. All right, so it's a staggered work. So please do bear with us. I will take this, even as I sent my message, I will still take this message across via email. Nigeria simply needs a leader that has the people's interests in mind with a touch of military energy. Jude, you never told us how much Jose Mujica procured his political party from or contest. Do we have a society that embraces altruistic lifestyle with modesty? The society decides the kind of leaders that we have. George Benedict. George, I don't know how much he bought it, but once again, let me repeat. Once again, when he declared his assets, everything he owned on heaven and on earth was $1,800 and something dollars. It wasn't up to $2,000. He had his small old car, his old tractor, his farm, his house, his wife, dog, 2 children. That's all he had. That was all he had. Denise, what kind of leader do you like to see for Nigeria?
Everyone will go for a selfless leader. However, the selflessness has to stem from somewhere. There are those that want to be selfless for the praise singing. So you say, okay, he's so selfless and all. But deep down, they know that they would rather want some other things. And so genuine selflessness will do. And I think a touch of, I don't want to use the weary.
Why can't everybody just say strong-willed?
Strong-willed.
Yeah, because sometimes I hear a touch of weary, and somebody say a benevolent dictator. The man who I'm talking about was neither of these things. He was hardline. This is what we're going to do for the country. I will not take salary. Nobody will do this. We will spend more money on the people and less money on ourselves. End of story. Anyway, let's do the one play draw. Hopefully, I'll be a good and benevolent presenter and give somebody money this morning. Let's see.
That one is not even, you can't even argue that one.
Let's see now. Some people say I don't used to call the number back. I used to be wicked. All right, so